And here's the thing, Sammy, is that when you look at what Caleb Williams was able to do on Sunday, nearly 300 passing yards, 4 touchdowns, really moving well, no turnovers, no sacks. A lot of positives were going to be taken out of this. And I know a lot of people will look at this performance and say, how is this different from when Mitch Trubisky threw 6 touchdown passes against the Buccaneers years ago? You look at Justin Fields had some moments. Even last season, Caleb Williams had a great game against Jacksonville before the absolute walls collapsed on everything that was going on with the Chicago Bears. And that's true. And I understand where everybody's coming from. And I understand why you're asking that question. The one thing that I will say is different is the coaching. When you look at Ben Johnson, when you look at what a maniac he is, what he's been able to do so far with the Chicago Bears, and we've seen the week to week progression of Caleb Williams, I believe that it is going to continue on that trajectory. I will not guarantee 4 touchdown passes every week for Caleb Williams. That is not feasible. But when he's in a situation where he has a plus matchup, he is going to go out there and he is going to take it. He's going to go and take advantage of it. Should be this week against the Las Vegas Raiders. When you think about what Marcus Mariota was able to do to the Raiders last week, there will be times where Caleb will struggle. Packers have got a great defense. Minnesota's got a great defense. Cleveland, who you'll see in December, great defenses. I'm not saying that he's going to go up there and light it up against them, but now we're getting to a point where we are seeing the growth of Caleb Williams, and we can expect to continue to stack these great performances one on top of the other. And by the time we get to the end of the season, I think that we will put to rest the conversation of who the best quarterback of the 2024 NFL draft was, and it will be Caleb Williams. So I'm looking forward to it, and I'm also looking forward to talking more fantasy football. Sammy, let's go start the show.
Welcome to our Fantasy Island.
Welcome to Fantasy Island. I always forget that we have like such a short intro into the Fantasy Island. I'm supposed to sit here and tweet this out so we can get some questions in here. I know that a lot of you have already dropped some questions. I can see myself on right now posting. There it is. Okay, we're up and running. So for anybody who missed that, everybody who's listening in, by the way, I know Captain Scott Winks will be listening in. We asked Hayden to be on the show. Hayden no-sold me. I'm going to ask you to ask him next time, but that's okay. We don't need anybody. We're fine. But again, this is mostly based on fantasy football. And I know a lot of people have been asking me over the last couple of hours, what do we do with the Bears pass catchers? Obviously, Rome Odunze now feels like a must start every week. You go into this thing, Rome Odunze is a must start wide receiver in fantasy circles, wherever you drafted him, wherever you think, I don't know who you would replace, because I know I have some teams that are pretty nice receiver wise, where I've got like Emeka Ibuka, I've got Puka Nacua, and I've got some other stud. But when you think about somebody like Brian Thomas Jr., and I know a lot of people, we put out a thing last night talking about Rome Odunze being at worst the number 2 receiver in the 2024 class. You're like, what about Brian Thomas? You're like, really? We're doing this? Like Brian, like what did he like? We know what he did last year. What is happening this season? Him and Ladd McConkey. Ladd McConkey has almost regressed into oblivion. I don't know, like Keenan Allen and Quentin Johnston look like much higher priorities in that Chargers offense. Amarian Hampton, who's been replacing Najee Harris, he had 7 targets yesterday. I really do believe that this Chargers team, not that Ladd McConkey is going to disappear, but Ladd McConkey is not going to be the Cooper Kupp that everybody thought he was going to be. I think he's going to be fine. He's a nice player. The Chargers team is really good. And I'm sure the Chargers fans will come in here and, everybody will come in here and be like, hey, what about the Chargers? Because that's what they're doing. By the way, Charger fans, you don't have to respond to every post that I do. This is when you can go out there and go do your thing. But whatever. Darth Maul, LM, I thought this was CHGO. I'm going to be on CHGO in about an hour. Does that help, Darth Maul? I will be on in an hour. Don't worry about it. We're just talking fantasy right now. Diamond Scott, here's the thing. Well, talking about how no quarterback has 4 touchdowns. Yeah, exactly. It's not feasible. He's not going to have 4 touchdown passes every week. That's not what I'm saying. When he's got plus matchups, we expect him to play very well. And this week against the Las Vegas Raiders, going up against a team that, again, was just torched by Marcus Mariota and the Washington Commanders, I would expect Caleb wins. And that's an interesting thing, too, is as great as it was for the Bears and like pressing, like this is the week that we're really going to see what Ben Johnson is made of. Is he going to be able to have that team respond once again? It's one thing to be embarrassed by the Detroit Lions and come out there and have your best game of the season. What about when you do have your best game of the season? Can you stack the win? I really believe in Ben Johnson. I think we're going to see another great version of the Bears, almost to the point where I'm almost ready to go out there and buy tickets to go out there and it's too late to fly. I could drive up. I could literally drive up to Las Vegas. I might do it. Everybody. Am I crazy? Am I nuts? I don't know. But before we do this, I do want to go and go over a couple of notes here for you fantasy-wise that you might need to know in case you missed it. As it turns out, James Conner, his injury was pretty severe. He's going to be shut down for the rest of the season. James Conner is going to be out, which is a huge bummer. He's been playing so well. Somebody that we've been rooting for. I know coming into this season, and again, anybody who victory laps on injuries, like this is not the time or the place. Like don't go here and victory lap anybody being injured and be like, we knew it was. Listen, everybody, there's 100% chance that every player who plays NFL football is going to get injured. Really bummed out to see James Conner go down, which means though that Trey Benson and Amari DeMarcado are going to be the running backs that pick up on your waiver wire this week. Trey Benson should be the number one priority for you, regardless of whether it's a league where you just use waiver wire position or fab. Trey Benson is the number one ad this week. Najee Harris is going to be out as well. Like his injury was just a non-contact injury sometimes looks so gruesome. And just to sit there and watch him collapse is so gutting. And he battled back from his offseason injuries with the fireworks and everything like that. Didn't miss a game. And this is a guy who doesn't miss games. Like that's the great thing about Najee Harris is that he never missed games. And for him to go out the way that he did, it was absolutely gutting. Amarian Hampton is going to be the guy. And the one thing about Amarian Hampton is he's not going to be available on your waiver wire, but somebody that you can trust. Rushed for 70 yards against the Broncos, had a touchdown. And again, had a lot of targets out of the backfield, 59 receiving yards. That's significant. Amarian Hampton could be one of those players who ends up winning a fantasy league for you. Let's see. I'm sorry. I'm going through all the news right here. I just want to make sure that we get you guys up to date. Tyrone Tracy was injured. He left the game in the first half with a shoulder injury. Cam Scatterbo looked absolutely fantastic. And for those of you who had Cam Scatterbo, if you played him this week, congratulations. That was a great start for you. I didn't like him because he was going up against that Chiefs defense, which is really good. But what we're seeing now, Cam Scatterbo, when given an opportunity, is going to be really effective this season. I know it's a rookie running back. There'll be some weeks where it's good, some weeks where it's not good, but you can go out there and get him into your lineups. CeeDee Lamb left the game in the second quarter on Sunday with an ankle injury, not expected to play. He did escape. He's not going to be on the IR, not expected to play this week. I'd be shocked if he plays this week. So you got to be careful with that. Mike Evans left with a hamstring injury. He's going to get an MRI on Tuesday. And, Todd Bowles said it was low grade. It's a low grade. Okay, that's easy for you to say, not your hamstring. Sterling Shepard might be a guy to take a look out for. Terry McLaurin left the game in the third quarter with a quad injury. Looked like he was going to score a touchdown, but unfortunately, he was called down at the 1. And oh man, that was a rough one. That was really bad. I feel bad. Oh, so close. Terry McLaurin looked really good. Oh, and that one still trusted him, even with Marcus Mariota. Still trusted him. But hopefully you can go out there. Just you know what? Those are the injuries. Those are keeping you up to date to help you win a fantasy championship this season. And speaking of championship fantasy football, we are going to be talking about Crown Champs. Listen, you can go out there and win your fantasy league, or you can rule it. With Crown Champs, you can go out there and go to crownchampscompany.com right now and find championship crowns, robes, scepters, rings. Too often, your fantasy football league ends with like a cheap plastic trophy, a GG in the group chat or something lame like that. No. You want to go to crownchampscompany.com. And right now, it's just $2.99 per person to rack up points, rack up weekly challenges, and get voted as king or queen, trash talker, and unlock some of this real life merch. Yeah, go out there and win a crown. The crowns are awesome. Like, it is a great way to go out there and finish your championship season with an actual crown and not anything else. Go to crownchampscompany.com. Use our passcode. Tell them Adam Rank sent you, and you'll get 15% off. It's just $2.99 per month per person. By the way, I also want to tell everybody too, today I go through the NFL. So I go through a car wash. So earlier today at 12 noon, I was on the NFL Insiders podcast. Then I just got done doing NFL Fantasy Live. I'm doing this show. And then not only do I have CHGO after this, I got to go to goalie training for my teams. And the only way I'm going to get through it is our friends at Huel. Huel is saving my life today. I don't have time to go out there and eat. And typically, I would go out there, I'd go to the donut shop and get a Vietnamese coffee and get a couple of donuts and feel terrible about my life. But instead, I've been switching over to Huel. This is a great option. It is a meal in a bottle, 400 calories, 40 to 35 grams of protein. And check this out. If you want to try it, go to huel.com/sickbears. You'll get 15% off your order for all new customers today. This is really the best way. I feel great about myself. I'm not sitting here in in a shame spiral, upset that I had too many glazed old fashions. Huel is going to keep me going today. And I know that I've got them in my car. Like, traditionally, you keep them chilled in the refrigerator, but I also have my shaker. My shaker is always ready to go. So this is a product that I use and I endorse. I love Huel. I'm the big believer. I've been going to Costco. I didn't like what I don't know. The Costco ones are fine. This is way better. If you ever got the stuff at Costco, this is way better. All right, let's talk about some more fantasy though. Michael F. Should I keep starting Daniel Jones over Kyler Murray? You know what's funny? I really got scared about going with Daniel Jones this past week, where I had to go out there. I'm going to pull up some numbers here real quick. I had to stream a quarterback. And I had a choice between Daniel Jones and Michael Penix. And Michael Penix was not the correct answer. Michael Penix, who had previously torched the Carolina Panthers, was awful. But Daniel Jones versus Tennessee, he had 16 fantasy points. That was 10 amongst quarterbacks. And this is like the traditional scoring. This has no bonuses or anything like that. 228 passing yards, a touchdown, 27 rushing yards. He was fine. He was fine in this matchup. He's the first player in the Super Bowl era with at least 3 passing touchdowns, 3 rushing touchdowns, and no giveaways in the first 3 games of the season. He's running the ball. He's throwing the ball. There's part of me that feels like Daniel Jones at some point, the bottom is going to fall out and he's going to be Daniel Jones. But why do we have to assume that? Like, maybe this is exactly what Daniel Jones needed, was a change of scenery, going to a team with, and it's weird to say a great rushing attack because he did play with Saquon Barkley, but you can't argue with it. And you can sit here and go all season and be like, I don't know, it might not be good. I know that once we start to trust him is when it feels like, but you can't play that way. You can't play scared. You can't play worried. You can't play scared. So I'm with you, Michael F. I would keep going. Is this Michael F. Florio? Is he asking me? All right. How about Ryan in Tampa? I want to go with this one. Quarterback Allen, running back Cook, running back CMC, running back Malik Neighbors, Mike Evans, Jawan, DJ Moore, Wandale Robinson, Shaheed Franklin, looking to make a trade. What are you trading for, Ryan in Tampa? So you got Josh Allen, who is amazing. James Cook is scored 18 touchdowns last year. He's on a pace for even more. CMC's awesome. The only one, this is the thing though, if Malik Neighbors ever takes off, and there's a real chance, what this team switches to Jackson Dart, it's going to be amazing. Like, it is going to be suitably amazing. They're going to unlock Malik Neighbors. Right now, Malik Neighbors is in literal hell, not figurative hell, literal hell. He is so good. He is one of the best wide receivers, one of the most talented wide receivers in the game, but he can't get going because of the quarterback that he's playing with. Russell Wilson out 1 week goes out there, makes everybody believe. But again, you knew going up against the Kansas City Chiefs that it wasn't going to be perfect. Like Steve Spagnuolo is still one of the best defensive coordinators in the game. This isn't a shock that Russell even said this. Like nobody was saying like, well, now we believe in Russell Wilson. We got to start him. What we did hope was that Malik Neighbors was going to go out there and continue to get targets. I know a lot of people were asking about Wan'Dale Robinson last week. And I was like, you know what? Like, I think that anytime that you get a matchup that's favorable for the Giants, let me see who they play this week. So sorry about this. Hey, listen, do you want me to fake it? Giants schedule. Let's look at the New York Giants schedule. Okay, they play the Chargers. We're not starting Wan'Dale Robinson, but let's take a look at this. So you got the Chargers this week, followed by the Saints. There's a great game. Then you have the Eagles. And you're like, oh boy. Well, here's the thing. You play the Eagles. And by the way, they play the Eagles twice in the month of October. How lazy are the NFL schedule makers? Why are the Giants playing the Eagles twice in October? This should not happen. But they do get the Broncos. So Patrick Surtain. Yeah, maybe it's time to get rid of Malik Neighbors. You got to kind of hold out. If you want to wait until Malik has that great game against the Saints and then go out there and trade him, you might want to do that. That schedule sucks. That is really a trouble. Although I don't know. The Eagles don't scare me as much. I think once Jackson Dart gets in there, although I do feel, and this is something that I've talked about a couple of times on this show or on other shows, whatever show, I've talked about it somewhere, some point. The move might be Jameis Winston. Jameis Winston until you get through that tough part of the schedule. And then you can bring in Jackson Dart a little bit slower. I think Jameis should have been, I don't even know why they signed. Why do they even sign Russell Wilson? Just such an unnecessary move. At any point, Darth Maul. Is Braggs coming? Yeah, Braggs will be along shortly. Ryan in Tampa once again said worried about Moore's production as well. I get what you're saying. And I do believe that the touchdown kind of bailed out DJ Moore. But this is the truth. This is the way that we look at this. The way that the Bears pass catchers are going to go. Rome Odunze to me is a must start. You got to put him in the lineup every week. DJ Moore falls down a little bit. He's the number 2 wide receiver. If you think about it last year with the Cincinnati Bengals, or even if you think about it in the lens of the Detroit Lions last year, where you had Amon-Ra St. Brown and Jameson Williams, they're not exact comps, but I do believe that Rome Odunze is going to be the most targeted wide receiver for the Chicago Bears. DJ Moore is going to be a viable, low end wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3 at some points as well. You can start him in those senses. And then with Luther Burden III, I know a lot of people, I think that you should pick up Luther Burden III. And I think that he could be valuable in some of those weeks where if you had a plus matchup, like if this game against the Raiders was later on in the year, we had like bye weeks or injuries or things like that, then maybe you can sneak in Luther Burden III. However, I don't believe that he's somebody that you can start right now. Somebody to keep on the bench, sure. Somebody to start, no. Almost a wide receiver handcuff in case something happens to Rome Odunze, in case DJ Moore gets traded, which I don't think is going to be an issue. I know a lot of people were talking about it last week, like, hey, can they just? I think that you keep all these guys. I don't think that there's any rush to go out there and get rid of DJ Moore. DJ Moore actually cracked a smile. So that's one of those things that I feel really good about DJ Moore. Let's bring out this thing from Resolute 8123. Did I lose my voice cheering for how awesome? You would think. You know what actually was the biggest culprit was yesterday? It was Gabriel Martinelli's goal for Arsenal against Man City. I completely lost my mind. Completely lost it. I was out of my gourd when they scored that goal because that was such a tough one. Like once Man City went up, in, what was it, the 9th minute. Pep Guardiola just parked the bus for 80 minutes. And had that been Mikel Arteta, everybody would have been on his behind. But when Pep does it, apparently it's the smartest thing you can do in all of football. Were there some other questions though, Sammy? I don't want to neglect anybody. I don't want to make anybody. At what point do James Henry? At what point do I give up on Brian Thomas Jr.? Why isn't Trevion Henderson getting more work? Okay, I'm glad you brought this up. Two things here, James. Thank you for asking. Number one, with Brian Thomas Jr., we don't give up on him in the sense, don't let him go. Like, we're not dropping him. But if we have Roma Odunze or Emeka Abuka, even at some point, like Michael Pittman becomes a better start than Brian Thomas Jr. It's so disappointing. Like, I really hate it. Excuse me. So I really hate what's going on there with the Jacksonville Jaguars. And the thing of it is, like, who's the offensive coordinator or the passing game guy? Or Shane Waldron's in there. Really awful, like really awful situation. Until they fire Shane Waldron, who knows what we're going to get out of Brian Thomas Jr., who I think is a very talented player. I really like him. Coming into the season, when Kendall Valenzuela was on the show, we had talked about it. And we talked about Travis Hunter, being a huge boost to this team because it was going to allow them to go out there and kind of draw the coverage away from Brian Thomas Jr. It just hasn't worked out. And it is a disappointment. On the second part of that, the Trevion Henderson. So Trevion Henderson was very excited about him last week. And they started Antonio Gibson. Antonio Gibson fumbles. They immediately change him with Trevion Henderson, and he does nothing with his opportunities. Trevion Henderson led the New England Patriots with carries. He touched the ball more than anybody, did nothing with it. So now that's somebody that we got to put on the bench. We're not releasing him, but at the same time, there's nothing we can do. We got to wait. We got to stay the course. This feels, again, Ramondre Stevenson a couple of years ago when he was a rookie, everybody had given up on him. He had hit the waiver wire. Don't release Trevion Henderson. Don't do that. There's still time to figure it out. It's been a bad couple of weeks, but Drake May has looked pretty good. I think Drake May has looked all right. Like, he's looked pretty good. They'll get it figured out. And at some point, it'll work out in our favor. But until that time, we don't need to put Trevion Henderson into our lineups unless we absolutely have to, because in some instances, I actually really do, which sucks. I don't like it. I really don't. I think hate it is the way that I would describe it, as hating it. Very not favorable for me. How about another question here? I think we had 4. This is Michael F. Who should my starting wide receivers be? Okay, excuse me. Justin Jefferson, absolutely. DJ Moore, Cortland Sutton, Emeka Abuka. DJ Moore is actually your 4th wide receiver there. I mean, Emeka Abuka is good. And again, when you look at what happens with Mike Evans being injured, and you start to ask yourself, well, does that mean more targets for Emeka Abuka? Not necessarily, because I think having Mike Evans out there benefits somebody like Double E, who goes out there and gets an opportunity to go up against the cornerback 2, doesn't get the coverage drawn his way. Although I think that if you're a defensive coordinator, you're already starting to do that anyways, because as great as Mike Evans has been over the course of his career, you can see the talent in Emeka Abuka, and they're going to start going his way. And Cortland Sutton's his guy too. Like, I really like Cortland Sutton. You know what's funny is if you listen to Sean Payton in his post-game press conference after the loss to the San Diego Chargers, he was going out there and he was talking about, like, you know what? They're not doing a good enough job of getting Bo Nix into 3rd and short situations. So what I do believe you'll see out of the Broncos over the next couple of games, really establishing the run, really trying to get J.K. Dobbins going, and putting themselves into situations where it's 3rd and short, which will allow Bo Nix to go out there and cook, which would open it up for Cortland Sutton. So he'd be my 3rd wide receiver. So I got Double E at number 2 right now. So Justin Jefferson's never going to get benched. Never bench Justin Jefferson. I don't care what happens. You're never going to bench him. Carson Wentz will find him You're going to be just fine. All right. How about another question there, Sammy? Vampire League. I get to steal either CD, Bucky, or KW3. Best rest of the season. If you were in a situation where you can hold, I don't know. I got to see the team. So I mean, listen, obviously with CeeDee Lamb being injured over the next couple of weeks, that's going to hurt you short term. But I think long term, he's going to be very good. But if you need a running back, Bucky Irving's my guy. I love Bucky Irving. I really do. So depending on what your biggest need is, CeeDee Lamb, again, I don't know what your roster construction is. If you don't have to start CeeDee Lamb over the next couple of weeks, I think that really damages your opponent. I think that's a real good opportunity to go out there. And as you're sitting there watching games, getting all crazy, watching the games. By the way, where are you watching games? Because if you're in Chicago and you're a real Chicago sports fan, and I'm talking about Bulls, Cubs, White Sox, Blackhawks, Sky, Fire, and of course, the Chicago Bears, you need to be watching your games at Twisted Shamrock. They've got monster TVs in the private party room, over the main bar, and of course, out there in the beautiful patio. I do know, watching the game yesterday, seeing so many short-sleeved Bears fans out there in Soldier Field, this is the best time outside of the spring to be in Chicago. Fall, crisp. You want to be out on the patio watching these games. You get get a little rowdy. The Twisted Shamrock has the best fans. They've got great drink specials. They've got buckets. They've got the best old-fashioned in the entirety of the Midwest. So as you're making plans for this next weekend, the Bears will obviously be in Las Vegas. If you are not making the trip to Las Vegas and you're like, you know what? I want to go out there and watch the game with some Bears fans, make your way down to Twisted Shamrock. Have a great time. You will not be disappointed. All right. How about any more questions? What do we got, Sammy? Before we close out here today, what are we looking at? All right. Would you trade Rice for Javonte Williams? Your running backs are Devon Achane, Isaiah Pacheco, who's been terrible. You do need some help. You know what? You do have some. I mean, obviously, I do like this. Javonte Williams, at some point, we sit here, we keep thinking to ourselves, the bottom's going to drop out. Javonte Williams is going to be exposed. It was one of the things that Tyreek Stevenson was talking about. And one of the reporters had asked Tyreek Stevenson, how were you able to get the ball away from Javonte Williams? And Tyreek's like, he didn't want it. He didn't want the ball. So I think at some point you are looking at a situation where you are going to, want, like, I would make this deal because you are starting him. You need to start Javonte Williams this week. No, they're going up against the Packers. You know what? I changed my mind. Don't make this trade. Javonte Williams, I still believe that Jadon Blue ends up being the running back for the Cowboys at some point this season. I think we're starting to see Javonte Williams be exposed a little bit. I know he had some carries yesterday, but I think there's something about that fumble, something about this Cowboys team where I think at some point they're going to want to see what they have. And Jadon Blue, I'm a big Jadon Blue guy. And I'm gonna triple down right here and say that he is going to be the guy moving forward. So I would stick with Rashee Rice. I would rather have the depth. I think you can get by with the running backs that you have right now. Okay, was there any more questions? Were there any more questions? Why are Caleb Williams and Rome Odunze so awesome? You know what? This is something that we talked about. If you didn't listen to the post show yesterday, you're okay. You don't have to listen to everything that I do. There's chemistry there. I think this is one of the things that those guys have really established, a chemistry, being brought into the same rookie class. I mentioned it yesterday as well. It's like there is going to be a time where we look back and say to ourselves, how were the Bears able to go out there and get both Caleb Williams and Rome Odunze? Because it doesn't seem fair. Because it feels like it is really a situation where, these guys are going to end up being a draft class that you look back on. So many times you look back at these draft classes and you're like, how do they miss on this? They drafted this guy instead of this guy. And I will concede that Malik Neighbors will end up being Very special. He'll be very good. But at the same time, the Bears didn't get a chance. It's not like the Bears passed on Malik Neighbors. They only had a choice between Rome Odunze, Ladd McConkey, and Brian Thomas Jr. I truly believe that the Bears made the right choice. I really do. And I think that even regardless of who the quarterback ends up being for the New York Giants, there's going to be a real strong argument for Rome Odunze to be the best wide receiver in this class. I truly believe that. But, you know, that's a conversation that'll be able to play out over the next number of years. Was that it, Sammy? Are we good? I think we are. I think we got it all. Listen, wanted to thank everybody. We're in overtime now. We've gone over our 30-minute limit. Do want to thank everybody for coming in, asking the hard-hitting fantasy questions. Looking forward to a great game for the Raiders against the Raiders this week. So much more here on the Sick Podcast with Adam Rank on Tuesday. Of course, we have our friend Nick Rohde of Just Another Year Chicago. He will be on Tuesday. Wednesday, of course, we'll be back with Take It to the Rank with our guy Greg Braggs. And of course, on Friday, Saturday, the weekend edition, we will have our preview. We did not have a guest this week, but we're working on somebody very special, trying to get Stacey Dales to come on. She's a solid maybe. I know that we're not supposed to jinx these things, and I shouldn't talk about it if we don't have somebody lined up. But if you see Stacey online, just drop a little, hey, would you mind going on the Sick Podcast with Adam Rank, talk a little bit about the Chicago Bears? So that'll be it for the rest of the week. Thanks, everybody, for joining us here on Fantasy Island. Until tomorrow, we'll see you. Bear down, and Sammy, just go ahead and play us out.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast with Adam Rank on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts.